Hello, welcome back and thanks for joining me. Today I'm doing a Christmas project. Christmas in July. It's the middle of July. And I'm going to be receiving my partner for a round embellishment Christmas swap, either tonight or tomorrow. So I thought I better get making some round Christmas embellishments to swap. So I thought I might use some spool ends, ribbon spool ends. I've done a video where I decorated some of these. They weren't Christmassy, but this one can be. So I have several to play with to start with my round base. And then I have a little container that's out of one of those suitcase style plastic storage containers that has a bunch of these in it. And so it just has random punches of circles that I've done, just sort of saved for a rainy day. Some of them are Christmas cards, so I might be able to use those. My punches are nearby if I need them to do more. And I also have, this is too small for a whole video, but I wanted to show you what my friend brought me back from Bahamas when she went recently. The reason I'm showing it is because I'm thinking I'll use these because they're red and green. I'll use them today. But there was also a menu from the Poop Deck restaurant where they went when she was there, and some sugar packets, island crystals. It's New York, but she got them in the Bahamas, and the Splenda pack with the stars and stripes. And island crystals cane sugar, again, New York, New York. But anyway, I just wanted to show you that you can whenever we would go away on vacation, the girls in my department would bring a little tiny something back for each other. And so now when they go away, I just say, just bring me back your junk and your paper products that you encounter along the way. Brochures, travel brochures, tickets, stubs. I'll take anything like that. And they just look at me strange because they're not into junk journaling, but that's what I ask for. And I pulled out to have things to work with. Most of my Christmas stuff is packed away in a plastic drawer unit in my craft room. So I just pulled out a few things to work with. I've always got lace and tags and tickets and stuff here at my desk, but I don't keep all my Christmas stuff out here all year round. But this is from my box of, I've got a box full of these bags. They're just Ziploc brand parchment paper bags that you can use to send sandwiches, take sandwiches to work or to school. Sandwiches or snacks. And what I do is when I'm doing fussy cutting out of catalogs and magazines and stuff, I sort them into these bags so it says Christmas. I do want to come up with a tab system so that it's easier for me to find the category that I'm looking for. But so this is just stuff I've fussy cut over the last year or so that's Christmas themed in one way or another. So I might be able to use some of these things on these embellishments. And a lot of them is Mary Maxim. Some of them was craft books, craft how-to books. And then I went in and just grabbed a few more things. This polar bear ornaments kit, I think, well, $4.98, so it must be, yeah, Walmart. I don't know where I got it. If anyone remembers seeing it in a haul, let me know. I really don't know where I got it or when. But it has these wreath shapes on the front, so I'm wondering, yeah, they are in there too. Now, isn't that silly? Such a small opening in that bag to get everything out. But we got some glittery stars, some glue, some pipe cleaners. So there's quite a few craft supplies in here that I can use. Little candies, pom-poms, sequins. I might have to cut this bag to get some of this stuff out. I guess since it's foam, it'll bend. You wonder how they ever got it in there. I'm gonna have to cut the bag as much as I don't want to. I would have made a cute treat bag. I guess I could get one of those bag sealers and seal it back up. Anyway, we have foam wreath forms, so I could definitely use those as a base for this project as well. And then some white iridescent glittery squiggles and some twine. So I'm not likely to use these, although I could make a little bow or even a hanger out of them. Put those off to the side. The sequins, I have a spot for that, but I might want to make it just part of my Christmas setup, although there's pink in there too, pinkish. Let's see what else we have to work with. This is rather unplanned. A little bit of red tissue paper. Some of this really plasticky, I guess it's like a mylar, gathered ribbon. It's not stretchy at all, but it's looks like it's gathered up by melting it somehow. So I got a bit of that to use as an embellishment. And then I pulled out some of this red buffalo check that I got at a yard sale. It was on a wooden spool. And I thought it would be perfect. And then I will take the rest and put it onto cards because I've been meaning to do that. And then this little box was sitting on top in my craft room. This is a bunch of other stuff that I fussy cut last year and put into this. Oh, and some stickers. Oh, yeah, some stickers and some fussy cuts and some scraps from when I was Christmas crafting last November and December when I was at my dad's. And some Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer stuff from a cereal box. And what's this? Oh, some holly leaves, some punched snowflakes, and some more larger fussy cuts that didn't fit into my other. Oh, there's quite a few in here. Let's put those in the shallower box so they're easier to look through, the lid of the box. So just a bunch of larger cutouts and things that are Christmas themed. And the snowflakes, quite a bit in there. So I had this ho box and I was just putting anything Christmassy in it. And then it got to the point where I needed to start something better for sorting. So I'll probably sort some of this stuff further into different categories of Christmas. Be a good porch project. Anyway, I thought we might be able to use some of that stuff. And I pulled out some wired ribbon in silver and gold, just so we have some options. And then this box, I'm not sure, it's a box from work that I've used to store Christmas stuff in. Oh, this is Christmas stuff that I've made last year. So I thought I would do a little flip through of it. And there are some envelopes that were ready to go for Happy Mail, so they have a few Christmassy things in them as well. So that is going to be another video later, and yeah, so lots of fun Christmassy stuff for Christmas in July. Let's start making some embellishments and see where we end up. So I think I'd like to start with one of these that Morgan gave me. Bahamian Brewery and Beverage Company, Sands, Bahamas. Truly Bahamian beer. And so it's red on one side, green on the other side. I thought I would decorate the red side for Christmas. And let's, I wish I had thought to pull out some specifically Christmas music paper. I didn't. Let's see what I have here. I know I have some hymns. Let's see if any of these ones were sent to me by Brenda Clark. Let's see if there's any Christmassy songs in here. Not really Christmassy ones. Here's some small scale printables that might be useful. You can't really tell what they are, so that's good. They could be Christmas carols. You don't know. There's some. Oh no, that's Danny Boy. I saw white with snow and I thought it was Christmas, but it's Danny Boy. I do just have some bits of music that's already inked up, so I might use some of that too. Doesn't matter if it's Christmas to me. I mean, it'd be cool if I had 1,000 copies of Jingle Bells, but I don't, so you use what you have. So this is just some that was printables, and I shrunk it down to like sort of artist trading card size. So since I can't find my tear rulers, I have more than one and I can't find any of them. I'm going to use this to do some tearing. And just break this down into usable pieces. I seem to have a lump. Oh, it's this thing. I thought it was something under my mat. There's that little glue. Good for a travel kit. Fill it with some good glue. Imagine that's not the best quality glue. I'm probably not going to use all these today, but I might as well rip them all up while I'm at it, if you don't mind. Try not to procrastinate things, but you know, you don't get as much done in a day on one project if you're constantly going off on tangents, but I can't help it. Those are all lining up, so I'm going to rip them all together. That'll make short work of it. And I probably won't use these as rectangles today either, but this gets them into a manageable size. And the rest of them I'll just put back in my music paper drawer. Little white scraps. Okay, so I got some music to work with. I got some leaves and some Rudolph. I love the Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer claymation or whatever it is, cartoon. And so this was a cereal box, and I'm pretty sure I showed it. I don't know if it was in a video because I was at my dad's, but I showed pictures of what I made with it. I decorated some gift bags with it last year. So I got a couple of Rudolph left and little labels to go with them. So let's do a couple of him. And I love Bumble. He's my favorite character. Join in the reindeer games. Antler tag. So I just saved everything off the box that I thought I could use. And then this was off of a label from something else that we got at Christmas. Just little tiny pictures. That could go in with my postage stamps. My faux postage stamps. Okay, so I was going to do this first. So, I mean, Rudolph, he can be anywhere in the world, right? So why not the Bahamas? So let's find a little bit of music to go in behind him. I don't want to completely cover the fact that it's a Bahamas tag. But I can just put a little bit of paper there. And I'll ink it. That's my black. Don't want to use my black one. Vintage photo works because I'm pretty sure that's what that is. And then I'm just going to kind of have that so it isn't hanging out so far over the edge. I don't mind if they're not perfectly round. These are kind of going to be like clusters. Put this up in the corner. I'm going to put Rudolph kind of in front of everything. I think it needs a little bit of lace, a little piece of lace. And white is okay for this, I think. So I'll grab one of these, finish cutting it up. Maybe that can just go up there, like a little star or a snowflake. And then that needs something to help it pop off the page. So this was part of the cereal box as well, this green, and it matches the outline around him. I want to do that. Or I could put this on that. That looks kind of cute. So let's get that stuff glued down. I'll ink just the edges of this extra large snowflake. So it's still basically white, and I will ink around the whole thing. Just because I prefer inked edges. Now the back side, I'm almost tempted to cover it with some sort of plain paper. But I don't think I will. Actually, it might be a good opportunity to use some of my player piano paper. I have lots of it and I've not been using it. So that's going to allow some of that to show through, but I'm not worried about that at all. Putting a fairly good thick coat. It's nice and warm today, so this is coming off quite thick. And then just around the very outside edge, I will do some tacky glue, and then just through the middle kind of clean off the excess off the cap. I'll lay this down. And so you can still see the green and even the words through it, but I like it like this. And then instead of cutting it flush, I'm going to cut it off with my ripple scissors to create a bit of a, actually I might even use fancier ones if it'll cut. Yeah, there's the Victorian. Let's see how this is pretty crisp paper. It's not very thick, but I think that'll cut okay. So I'm going to cut so that we've got a little border of that around, peeking out. I know it's hard to see because that paper curls. It's hard to get it not to curl. I guess if you wet it and ironed it, it might stay flat. So there, that's a little bit fragile, but we'll just let it be. It is what it is. And then I like the way that looks on the back. And it's already a nice aged color. You don't need to ink it necessarily. We might use some more of that today. I'm kind of liking that idea. And then we had this, which will need to be 3-in-1 glue to be sure it's going to stay stuck. And I usually just do like around the center hole. This is slow to come out. It might be time to add more acetone to this. And then I dot it on those little triangle spots and then around here. And I'll leave the rest loose. The little points. Cover my cap. And then I had Rudolph. And where's that little label? Rudolph label. Maybe I can get away with just inking this as well. And I think I'll ink around the green border that I left when I cut them out too. So you don't see the edges are like already cardboard colored, but just to give it a little more of a vintage look. I'm just wondering if I need to do it with the darker color. Since he is the focal point, I think I might try it with the ground espresso. It's not that much different. There. Let's see if it makes a difference on this. Might be time to re-ink. Don't feel like I'm getting much ink on there, but maybe it's just because it's already a dark color. Okay, so that's pretty much stuck down already. And because we're going, I'd like to kind of lift up his hind legs here because this is holding it up off of the paper. So maybe what I'll do is put a red star or two underneath. Now these are stickers. I'll put one coming out from under his legs so you can see part of the star, and then I'll put a couple more of the stars to round out the composition. That feels pretty sticky, so I'm going to go ahead and put it right there. You can see it's like poking out. And then I'll put the other two stickers on in a minute when I figure out where I want them. So I'm going to glue his head and neck. Will be touching the doily. And then his hind legs in here. Actually, if I glue this, it'll catch wherever it lands. And then maybe another star poking out from underneath his ear up there. And I'll just put a little bit of glue on the tip of his ear to catch that. And that prevents him from kind of sagging down. He's basically flat, but he's popped up off of the surface with these. And you can still see that they're stars, instead of completely hiding your, what I call pop dots. I don't know if that's the right word for them, but that's what I call them. And then it's a question now of whether I want this label that I picked out or something like flying practice. I like the idea of putting flying practice on there. So this was cut with my ripples, so I'm going to cut it in half with my ripples. And I want to ink it. Because it's white, I think I can get away with just the vintage photo. I'm so glad I saved these little scraps after I was done the project, because they're proving to be useful. Now they're not popping off at me very well, so maybe I should back them with something, I'm thinking something red. Maybe a little scrap of this ribbon. It's not really a scrap yet, is it? Just a piece. Where's the end? There it is. I think this must have been like a full spool of, because see how it's sewn on the end? I wonder if the other end is sewn too. It could be like I have a full spool that nobody even used any of it yet. I took it off the spool so I could put one of my snippet strips on the spool. No, it has been cut on this end. So it doesn't need much. I'm going to cut it there. And I'm going to try to fray it a bit on the ends. And that's all you really need to do. If you have strong fingernails, just pull on the ends and you will create some fraying. This is a fabric ribbon. I would imagine it's cotton. I got it at a yard sale, so I don't have the packaging that would have shown what it is. But even though that's going to cover part of my doily, I'm going to put that there and then put Flying Practice on top of it. And it's got the stitching on the edge is a little more pronounced on this side, so I'm going to leave that side as the side that shows. So I'm just going to put down a squiggle here to catch it. And set that into it. That's a little easier to achieve sometimes. I'm going to let those, I'm going to just trim them, but leave a little bit of those strings. Oops. I don't want it covering his face there. And then Flying Practice. This is a tweezer job. I really need to make some more room for my little turnaround thing here because it gets stuck. So this was the cardboard cereal box that was Rudolph themed. I found it, I believe, no, I was going to say I found it at the Dollar Tree, but that's not true. I found it at the regular grocery store. And I believe it was General Mills cereal. Can't remember what kind of cereal it was. Like it was a normal cereal like Rice Krispies or something like that. But it was Rudolph themed. I can't remember. I'm thinking Rice Krispies isn't right, but it was something, whatever General Mills makes. So there's that. I think that's done. A hanger might be nice on it. Get the backs of these stars everywhere sticking. And you can write on the back. You could add a paper clip or some sort of clip on it. You could add a hang tag on it with twine. I know what I'll do is I'll put a little hole and put the twine to make it into an ornament. So I'll get my Temu brand crocodile and I'll do a silver one. A silver eyelet. want that just above his head. Right about there. So you punch it with this thing on the side, and there is a depth gauge so you can control where that hole ends up. I just eyeballed it. And then I've got the pieces in the punch for the larger size of eyelet. There's 2 sizes that come with the kit, and the other punches or presses are in here in this little spot where they store without rolling around in there. So then you put your eyelet through that hole. And there is this little round piece for on the back. So I put it on the back. I believe that's how it goes. And then I put this part with the nub on the front and line it up and squeeze. And it's really easy to squeeze. And that gives you a nice finish on the back and on the front. And then I'll take this piece of twine. It came with the snowman wreath kit. I don't know why it was snowman. There's nothing snowman themed in the package. And I will do a lark's head knot through this hole. From the front through to the back, and then open up that loop and stick those ends through the loop and pull, and that gives you a lark's head knot. And then I'll take the loose ends and just do an overhand knot, leaving a small tassel at the top. And then that gives you a hanging loop to hang it on your Christmas tree or from your rear view mirror or whatever you want to do. And I'm going to leave that curled up. I kind of like the whimsy of it, that edge of the paper. So I hope whoever I get as a partner will enjoy this little round embellishment. I'm going to make another one. Actually, I'll try something different just to not make it boring for you guys. You save this Rudolph stuff for another project for myself. And let's see what else we've got to work with. And all these fussy cuts and everything, there must be something else that I can do. I was thinking that was all in a bag. There it is. Now I do have a wreath in my fussy cuts here that I kind of like the look of. So let's just fussy cut it with the ripple scissors. I'm not sure why it has those notches in it. I must have cut something else out that was below it. It kind of looks like an oil painting. It was Sullivan's catalog from 2019. It was like a company that sells artwork and candles and stuff like that. Probably something I got from work. So there's our wreath, and let's find one of these. What they are is the ends of the ribbon spools when I've taken all my ribbon off and put them on cards because it took up way too much room. So I'll just get rid of this loose paper. And I'm going to leave the back side because it's plain, and I'll just ink it lightly with the vintage photo. like I said, I did do a video where I decorated some spool ends, but it wasn't Christmas themed, so I will link that video below so you can see what I did that time. And I'm just gonna go with what's left on the dauber and just darken the rest of it just a bit. I just want it to look old, not beige. And then even around the hole, I want ink. And then if we do this, we're going to need something behind it to kind of give it some more presence. I don't know that I can get this stuff to go around a corner nicely. Some gathered lace would be perfect because it will go around a corner. Or what I could do is gather some of this. That would be really cute. Some of this buffalo check. Make like a ruffle all the way around. So if you don't know how to gather a flat piece of fabric, then this will be a little lesson for you. You know, if you know how to sew at all, then you probably do know how to gather. But for those that are afraid of sewing, which I do see a lot of people in the comments of videos saying they want no-sew projects because they don't sew, well, it's really not that hard. I hate to tell you. So you just need a needle. I use needles with quite large eyes, so they're easy to thread. And here I would want either black, probably black would be best. I don't think I have any black, just thread here. There's some very dark charcoal twine. That would be good and strong. You want strong thread if you're going to gather, because you have to pull, you have to do a bunch of stitches and then pull it. So you don't want your thread to break. So I need enough to go around this thing. So I'm going to give myself a bunch extra. Getting quite a mess here. You guys probably think it's quite chaotic, which it is. I can't argue that fact. I don't think I need to worry about antiquing this because I'm going to cover it with the ruffle. So ruffle making 101. Thread your needle. Because I've got a nice wide eye in my needle, I should be able to just thread this. This is gonna, it's pretty tight in there, so it's not gonna move back and forth. But if you're worried about losing the end, just tie a knot. Well, you're gonna wanna tie a knot anyway to stop the ruffle from unruffling. So tie yourself a knot, a slip knot in the end. That's plenty good. And you might wanna just, with twine, I just give it a stretch so it doesn't get stuck in the eye. Okay, I think this will work. That's enough to go around anyway. So all you do, very simply, is back and forth stitches, in and out. And I'm going to use the squares to help me keep kind of even. Going about a ½ inch each time. Just in and out, in and out. And once you've got so much on your needle that you can't really poke it in and out anymore, then you pull it through. And it's too thick. Pinch that to get it to come through. it's too thick. And pull that all the way through, and then get it to where it's on just the, oh my gosh, that's tough. Pull that other end till it comes through. Figure out which one it is. It's this one. So there's just one strand in there. And then all you do is just pull, and that will gather. And you can control how much it gathers. By spacing it evenly. So just keep going back and forth until you have enough for your project. So I was on the back side here, so I'll come to the front, or whichever way it was, and do some more. We have enough to get around. I've gone this far with it, I might as well do enough. And again, it's going to be hard to get it started because the head of the needle is thick and so is the cord. But you do want good thick cord. Strong cord anyway. Like a waxed quilting thread would be good if you're buying thread for it. Or a very thin cording of some sort. So 1.5 to 2 times the length that you want once it's ruffled is a good gauge of how much to do. If you do 3 times, it's going to be very ruffly. Like you can, if you do it tight, you know, that 12-inch piece goes down to 1.5 inches or 2 inches, but I want it spread out a bit more than that. I want it just a slight ruffle. Kind of like that. So I'll do a little bit more here, one more pass through. I think that's enough. Let me just see here. Oh, not quite. Need to do a little more. I could probably make it work. But I think I'll do a little more. I have a little excess, I'll either leave it ruffled or just unruffle it and put it back with the rest. And you notice I'm doing it along one edge. If you do it down the center of the piece, it gives you a different look again, more like this. let's start gluing this down. So I just want it pulled tight enough to go around the circle. That's about right there. So I'm just going to lay down quite a thick bead of the 3-in-1 glue. You could use hot glue, that would dry even faster. This dries pretty fast. And just once I've got it to the right degree of ruffled, set that into the glue. And just hold it for a second. Hot glue, like I said, will firm up quicker, but this will just take a few minutes. It's not like a half an hour or anything. And then I will get the next section ready. Put down some more glue. And set that into it. This 3-in-1 is acetone based, so it dries pretty quickly because the acetone evaporates. That's why you have to keep it capped too when you're not using it. It puts fumes into the air, but it also causes it to get thick and too thick to use. Dry out the whole bottle eventually. It gets stringy. It needs more acetone. I think mine's about ready for some more acetone. There, and then I've used up to pretty much all that I ruffled. I'm going to cut that off, cut the fabric off on an angle. Not the best scissors, kind of dull from cutting all the paper. And then I'm going to do a little knot so that it won't unravel. I mean, it's probably going to stay where it is anyway because it's glued, but just to be safe, I'm going to do a little knot, which is easier said than done here. I'm going to do round and round. And then just cut that off. So that gives us a nice ruffly buffalo check base. Nice cardstock back. Now, what will we put in the center? We've got this, but it's flimsy paper, so I'm going to have to back it. What have I got? Have I got something else that's the same? Yeah, that one would work, and then I could glue that down. I mean, I could just use cardstock, but this is already a circle and it's about the right size. So let's ink up the edges in case any of it shows. I'll glue stick this onto there with a little bit of tacky glue to prevent it from ever lifting up. The glue stick does dry out. I'll sort of center that up on there. And then I'm thinking I'd like another layer of something underneath that. I was thinking just maybe some of these more realistic leaves. Or maybe some white, because we've already got green. How about some white? I do have a little bit of this wavy edge from the edge of a tablecloth, so that would look pretty poking out behind this, and then it'll cover the stitches on that. See, white rose was originally $30.99 a roll, and then it was $15.49. $3.49 a meter. That's a long time ago. White rose closed late 80s or early 90s, I believe, in Canada. So I'm going to do about halfway at a time. This isn't ruffled, so I'm going to have to kind of just hold it in place as I move it around. And I do have a lip scrubber for that purpose. This is a silicone lip scrubber from the Dollar Tree. And because it's silicone, the glue doesn't stick to it. So just sort of scrunching it up. You could go through and do the same thing I just did with the fabric and run a stitch in and out between those holes, but this works too. So it's two methods if you don't want to sew. This is another method for creating ruffles, and you could do it, like I say, a little quicker with the hot glue gun. Just watch your fingers because you will burn them. If I knew I was going to be doing this, I might have plugged in a glue gun to show you, but I didn't, and I don't have it handy, so don't use one very often. Christmas is probably about the only time that I usually use a glue gun to make ornaments and stuff. And that was before I started using 3-in-1. And we'll just glue these together so that they don't flop around. So then that goes on there. And it's maybe just a little wide, so before it gets completely set up, I'm going to just push in. And I should be using the tool, not my fingers. The whole point is to keep it away from my fingernail polish because of the acetone-based aspect of it. Let's see if that fits better. A little bit. You can see the red ruffle a little better now. So I'm going to glue right around these high spots. Actually, I could glue on the red and it would catch it all. So right on top of the red edge. This one's a little bit more dimensional than the other one, but that's okay. You're allowed to be over the top on Christmas, right? So I'll just hold that down for a bit. I didn't even ink around that wreath. And then a sentiment would be good, but I don't know if I have Christmas sentiments handy other than maybe something on a card. Let's see what I've got in here. I've got some snowflakes, don't really. I might do a ribbon on top of the ribbon, like a real ribbon. snuggle season. That's cute. There's one that would be nice to use today. Oh, I like single words. Peace, joy, or love. Maybe peace. So let's do ripple. I like the little cardinal. That's why I picked this. I'm not going to get much of a ripple on the top. I'll just get some little indents there. So when I'm fussy cutting, I save the words and keep them right in with the Christmas stuff rather than put them with my normal words, my everyday words. And a nice inking so that this stands out. The word is in brown, so it kind of works to have it inked. And maybe put that down at the bottom and a real bow here. Now what am I going to make my real bow out of? More of the red. I can cut myself a little what I'll often do is just do a knot instead of doing a bow. And then cut ribbon ends on it. So just fold the ribbon in half and then cut on a diagonal. I should be using my Wanda scissors. They're nice and sharp. Let's try that again. A little closer, and I've got it not quite cut in half, so I got that little glitch there. Let's get rid of that. That's better. And then again, fold that in half. Make sure you don't have any wrinkles in it. And cut on an angle. And then that can be our bow with the word peace right below it, and it kind of completely covers the bow in the picture. And I think I'm going to put the flat side down. It'll just glue down easier than the knotty side. And what I can do is I can glue something on top of that, like a little wooden shape or something. I'll put that just offset so that the bird is there. And then I'm thinking a little wooden shape, but I don't know if I have one handy. It could be one of these, little gold star. Just right there. I usually prefer silver stars, but that's cute. Now I didn't put a hole in it. I still could get my crocodile in there. Just so that the person has the option if they want to use it for an ornament. You could certainly use it as a book topper or even in a book, but it's kind of thick. So this side. Maybe right about here. I'm gonna have to do it this way. And I guess silver, you're not going to see it. I could use a gold one since I have the gold star on there. I don't use gold as much, so let's use up a gold one. And I want to thank whoever came up with this challenge, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have done much more Christmas in July this year. I did several things last year, but I haven't really been in the mood. But it is fun once you get doing it. And I put the part that's usually on the front towards the back, because the back part's going to be hidden. And that one didn't work. Darn. Didn't work at all. I didn't have it lined up right. Well, it's crunched, but it's not, doesn't have a hole in the middle. Let's see if I can fix it. It's got a hole, but it's too jagged, I think. It's just going to ruin whatever string goes through it. I'm afraid that if I rip it out, I'm going to ruin the cardboard. There, I got it. So we'll try a different one. It's not the fault of the eyelet, it's because I didn't have the pliers on it properly. Completely. There, that one worked. So then it could have that same red cord. Or some gold would be maybe appropriate. Could even do gold pipe cleaner. But you know what? I think I prefer this. So what I'll do with this is I'm going to tear off the edging on both sides, and I do it all at one time. So you just grab that and hold on to the other two pieces and just rip, just tear. Sometimes you can get them both to go at once. This one's being a little stubborn. So that piece is long enough. Then I can use this ribbon as the hanger, or I could use the wire as a hanger. I've used the wire to bind books, all sorts of different things. But I kind of like the way this looks with the swirls. So I'll fold it in half. I'm going to put it from the back through to the front this time, because then the tidy part of the knot will be visible on the back side. I've got to fold it in half again to get it through the hole. But then once it's through, I'll open it back up and put my fingers through the loop and pull the ends through, and then pull that up tight. And see that neat side is on the back. And then up on the top of these, I'll take these ends and I'll cut my ribbon ends first. It'll be easier. So you go from the folded edge and down towards the outside edge to get your little V-shaped cut. And this one isn't as wide at this end, but that's okay. And I'll just do an overhand knot as close to the end as I can. That might have been better if it was a little longer. But it will go on the branch of a Christmas tree or on a hook or something. So there is a little bit of glitter coming off of that cord or that ribbon, and it's going on to the face of this, and I'm just going to let it be there. Kind of like it. The other thing you could do is add more glitter if you want it glittery. I would probably glue glitter nail polish, and I could also add a few stars. Let's use these up. That'll give me more glitter falling too. So let's put 1, 2, 3 at least. There's 2 more. I could go there and there. And that gets those used. not as crazy about it with the stars on it, but it's done now, so let's move on with our lives. Anyway, I think it's still cute. I'm not sure about those stars. So there's 2. I think it was 3 we're supposed to swap, so I better keep going. I'm going to try one of these foam wreaths now. I've got one that's quite lime green. So let's see what we have to go with lime green. Oh, I said I wanted to do this All Hearts Come Home for Christmas. So that's not going to work as well. This other green color might. It's already got the hole. How am I going to fix up the edge? Maybe just cut it with the ripple scissors. Maybe what I'll do is I will cut it with the ripple scissors because I've got kind of an uneven border where I cut it out. And then what I'll do is I'll ink that edge, and then I'm going to back it onto some, I think black cardstock is calling for, is what it's calling for. The other thing I could put it up against is music paper. And I could use some of this small scale one. It's obviously not a Christmas Carol, but I think I'm going to do that anyway. So glue stick to get it sort of everywhere glued, and then a thin bead of tacky glue, and then just clean off your cap in the middle. And then just glue that down. And the reason I'm not concerned whether it was Christmas music or not is I'm just going to trim it about 1/4 inch from the edge, so you wouldn't see any of the words anyway. You just can tell that it's music paper. That back in the drawer, and then I have some black cardstock that's going to firm it up. So it's just another layer done exactly the same way as I just did. Glue stick so that it's kind of glued everywhere. And then tacky glue just like 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Small bead of it, and then just through the center, kind of cleaning off the cap, not really adding more glue. Just cleaning off what's already taken off. And I think I'll just do it like this. And then I'll cut around that one more time with the ripple scissors. We're getting like a layered look. Oh, and I didn't ink that. I meant to. It's okay because it's already beige, but I'm going to try to just ink it with the flat of the, just like this, just a little bit. I didn't even pick up any more ink. I'm just lightly trying to make it a little bit more inked. And then the black doesn't really show any ink, but sometimes I'll put the ground espresso just to give it a little bit of brownness. So where's my ground espresso? It does, it's hard, probably not going to be something you can see on screen, but it does change the edge a bit. It's maybe a different sheen, but it does, you can see that something's been done. And then that is just going to get glued down on front of something. Now that's not going to work, it's too big. I don't really want to use these pretty pastel ones because I think those would be pretty for something else. Got another white one here. So we can do the same thing we did with the piece one. Leave the back exposed but inked. And if I put some sort of a ruffle around, it'll be big enough for this heart to sit on. So let's do vintage photo inking on the back. Start on the inside this time. Just all over inking. And then around the edge with my usual technique. It's going to show on the front. I'll just get the edge of it really good. And then will we do another red ruffle? I think that would be perfect with the truck. This time, instead of sewing it, let's try just gluing it on and ruffling it. So I'll put down a thin bead. I'll do about 1/4 of the circle. And just lay that in and ruffle, hold, ruffle, hold, ruffle, hold. So that didn't quite hold here. Go back and give it another dab. And maybe just there to hold that over. Hold that over. Another small section. That's really stringy. I'm going to have to doctor it up. Set that in there. So you can try both methods of ruffling and see which one you like best. If you really don't want to sew, this is a method that will work. You just have to hold it for a few seconds. Not everyone who crafts is patient. I should have Christmas carols going in the background when I'm doing this. Get me more festive. I'm feeling more festive. It's a nice diversion from all my family photos that I've been working on. But I think I'm going to do more of them this afternoon. Probably break for lunch after this. I didn't really have breakfast. I had a chicken breast for breakfast. Didn't feel like making eggs, and there was a chicken breast left over from last night, so that's what I had. Rather strange breakfast, but it works. Just need to do a little more ruffling right here. It looks a little flat right through this section right at the first. And then I can cut that off. I'll finish ruffling the rest. There we go. Yeah, I think I like that. And I'll put this point of the heart to cover that joint in the ribbon. Nip that off. And have that coming down there so you don't see where the ribbon starts and stops. I like that. The only thing I think it might benefit from is some glitter on top of the black. So I'm going to do that. And I think I'm going to do it the easiest way, probably the quick drying way, is some silver glitter glue that I have. If I can find it. I had it just the other day. So that's not working. I can't find it. So I've got this Sally Hansen Hard as Nails Extreme Wear, and it's color 290 bold gold, and it has large and small glitter bits in it, and they're gold and black, so that'll be perfect on the black. Let me just grab something to put underneath it because I'm going to want it close to the edge. Light color so you can see what I'm doing. And this is just a calendar from a countertop supplier. From this year. I didn't even use it. I use my Outlook calendar. So that's going to give me glossy too. So I'm going to cover the entire black part and get as many of the little particles on there as I can. The only problem with this is the drying time and the fumes if you're sensitive to nail polish fumes. And this isn't for you, but I can't find my quick drying acrylic one. It's just a glitter glue squeeze bottle. Oh, I think I know where it is. I had it set aside to glitter up some flowers, some fussy cuts of flowers. That's where it is. So it is on my desk here somewhere in my piles of projects. Putting on a fairly thick coat of it so that I get a lot of glitter. And it'll give it some dimension and shine, so that'll be good. It's Christmassy. And this kind of glitter does not fall off, right? Because it's embedded in the lacquer. So if you're someone who doesn't like glittery things that lose the glitter, this is a good alternative if you do like the look of it. There. Pretty. Very pretty. I do have some white glitter. Got some silvery. This is actually silver crackle. I don't think I want to add that. I mean, I could paint that whole interior part with clear and then crackle over top of it, but I don't think I want to. I think it'll ruin the picture. But that's pretty. And then I won't glue it down yet because I can't press on it very well. Where's that seam? Oh, I don't have to worry about it if I can't find it. There it is, right there. So that'll go like that. And I'll glue that down. And probably add a hanger as well. Maybe use this stuff as the hanger for this one. So I could go ahead and cut the hole for that. While I've got you, and then we'll end this video. Maybe I can glue that on before we say goodbye. Okay, I'll use a gold one again. And I'm not going to bother with the back because you won't see it. So where was I? Here's my overlap, so I want to be directly opposite that, right there. Pretty side on the back this time. And that gets covered. And let's cut myself some of this wired edge. At first I was throwing these away, and then I realized I could be using them for all sorts of things. So here it's going to make my hanger that is not likely to break because it's wire. And I'll do the same thing. I'll do my lark's head through the hole. Pull that tight, and then an overhand knot up at the top, pretty close to the end. And then if I hold this just so I can finish, I will just glue right around the edge. The 3-in-1 and a fair bit of it because the fabric will absorb some of it. I'll put a little squiggle in the middle, but I don't know what it's going to catch. I should have put something underneath the center because this fabric is holding the outside edges up. Maybe what I'll put in there, all I still can, is this cast off center of the stars that I used on the last one. Oh, but I've got that hole. Doesn't matter. I will cover the hole on the other side. That just holds that center up. So it's like a big pop dot. And I'll let that dry before I mess it up. And if it needs more glue when I go back, I'll give it more glue. And I will find something to put there, like it'll probably be just one of these. Maybe with some more glitter added, but I can't really show you that just because I need to cover that star there, the yellow bit. But one of these is like a snowflake to me, so if I do that and just add a little bit of glitter and or ink around the edge, I'll do it so you can see that I finished the project. Oh, I know what else I can add right in the middle. Just saw it. I'm going to put this down. You can still write around it. You could do a circular message. This is what I saw that made me go, ooh, I can do that. A little candy sticker right in the middle. So, fairly pleased with myself on these three. It's sometimes hard to get into a Christmas groove at any other time of the year, but mid-December for me. I know some people can do Christmas all year long and they love it all the time, but I'm more of a, got to be in the mood, have a hot cocoa, that kind of thing. I always have hot cocoa and Bailey's when I'm wrapping presents and get right in the mood. But I'm pretty pleased with these. I think they turned out good, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you will join me for more Christmas projects as they come along. Might do a few more in July. And certainly when we get into the fall, I'll be doing more. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. But most of all, have a great day and happy crafting.